evening meeting of the Kitsap County Board of Commissioners. We have a pretty full agenda today, and we're going to begin with Dana reading some rules for folks who might be watching online, and also to remind those of us in the audience tonight.
For members of the public wishing to comment remotely at the Board of Commissioners' regular Monday business meeting during designated public comment times, business and consent agenda, public hearings, and general issues, the following options are available. For internet users, please click on the raise hand feature to signal that you would like to comment. The sound will be unmuted and the internet participant should announce her or his name. The participant will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. Closed captions have been enabled. Members of the public can view the link to instructions in the chat. Please note that we will not be able to assist you should you experience technical difficulties. For call-in users, please dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. The last 4 digits of the call-in number will be announced, and call-in participants should announce their first and last name before speaking.
Thank you. That was Dana Daniels, Clerk of the Board. We will now officially begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you're able to rise, please do. The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Dana.
Item 1A, presentation on 2026 budget process.
And leading us off is Chris Carlson. Chris, do you want to set up there? Yes. Okay. And we may have folks here who were planning to speak to the budget. That is, we're going to have a presentation on the budget, and then our order of agenda usually includes, starts with board appointments, proclamations, and resolutions, and then we have the opportunity for people to address the board on items that are on the agenda. So we'll have this presentation for the information of the public and the board, and then we'll have public comment a little bit later. Chris, do you have like fancy slides and stuff, right?
I do, yeah.
You want to see if you can get them out there?
Yeah. All right, for the record, I'm Christopher Carlson, County Budget Manager. Just wanted to highlight all information today is available on our county budget website. We maintain a number of dashboards, all the budget hearing information, all the documents related to individual department submissions are also on here. Everything can mostly be found in this bottom section. We're continuously updating the information. And the presentation that I'm going to go over today is one that we do often in community events like the Central Kitsap Advisory Council meetings or the Manchester Advisory Committee, and we've done it in professional groups like Kiwanis. Tomorrow I'm actually going to do the same presentation, well, a flavor of it, to the Kingston High School students. So our 2026 annual budget process has taken 2 years. And really, we're doing budget all the time, and there's certain important things that we're doing throughout the year. We're gathering internal service fund estimates. We're working with employing officials on estimated cost increases. We're organizing a committee to do public presentations, and then so we just recently finished our budget hearings in this 3rd week of September. Again, all the information for those hearings are available on the website. And so we've been doing a ton of deliberations and open meetings. We intend to do a few more community outreach events relative to this process. But why I said it feels like it's taken 2 years is we've recognized we've had a budget problem since 2022. It's not that we haven't done anything about it. We've over-communicated about it internally because we're tracking it, and it wasn't an emergency, and it's still not an emergency right now, but we are tracking for a while that our expenditures are exceeding revenues. But just to set the stage, I want to dial back out. So what we're really talking about is 25% of our budget. Everything else is very restricted. Lots of individual buckets. So as you can see, our submitted budget for 2026, all this is in draft. Commissioners are set to make decisions upon the budget at the beginning of December. On December 1st is the first public hearing. So just to show you the complexity, there's many different buckets of funds. The special revenue funds, there's 83 of them. When you dive into them, all these pots of money can only be used on very specific purposes, law or other legislative purposes. A lot of them are state and federal grant through pass-through monies. Real estate excise tax is another example for real estate transactions, very specific on what we can use those funds. Public works funds here is in this enterprise section. Rate-based payers pay for the service and fund the activity related to the service. So sewer, stormwater, we're not talking about those types of things. We're talking about the general fund. So 25% of the pie. The reason that we spend all of our time talking about it is because it allows for resource allocation flexibility. So property tax and sales tax are the largest funding components of the fund, and the commissioners have entire discretion on how to allocate those dollars. So for 2026, our submitted budget is about $136.8 million. Just want to show you the different slices of how that money comes in. So money in, sales tax, property tax, those are your biggest pieces, but just drilling on some of the lesser known things like intergovernmental, a huge chunk of this money is just city jurisdiction's use of our jail. And grants, federal and state, right here in this yellow. In the charges for service, think front counter. That's like passports and motor vehicle licensing and document recording. This red pie is really interesting because it's always been really insignificant up until 2022. So as I said, we noticed a problem in 2022, but I'll go into it further why this has now become a larger piece of our budget. Okay, so that's how the money comes in. This is where it's allocated. So the sheriff's office gets about 44% of the pie. The courts, that includes prosecutor, superior court, clerk's office, district court. Everything in this building, a whole bunch of smaller departments makes up that 16.7% piece of the pie. Human resources, county commissioners, emergency management, treasurer's office. Parks only gets 5% of the budget, and the medical examiner a little bit more than 1.2%. And this shows how it's spent. So it's mostly spent on people. So again, when we're in 2022 recognizing the problem, it's easy because we know what the people cost is and we know what our large revenue drivers are. So we're just noting at that time, expenditures are outpacing revenues. What most people don't understand is how property tax work, especially as it relates to how it funds county functions. So about 8 cents on every single dollar that you pay to your property taxes comes to the county, and the county keeps it. That funds the parks, the sheriff, the courts, the treasurer, the auditor, the assessor, all those main functions. We do keep a little bit more in this dark sliver that goes to the road department. So again, zooming back out, one of those other special pots of money that is restricted for that very specific purpose. But then the 81% of your property tax dollar goes to other taxing districts. Schools are a big portion, and then fire as well. Really important number, the general fund, the thing that funds the parks, the sheriff, the courts, the auditor, the assessor, we're estimating that property taxes for the general fund will only be about $635,000 to $750,000 more next year. That's that 1% cap, that's by law, plus new construction. So that is, we're saying it often now, there's a structural problem because government doesn't work in a high inflation environment. That property tax cap is limiting, whereas expenses are exceeding at a higher rate due to inflation. So this shows that too. So you see this really dependable slope of the line for property tax. It's that 1% cap. Sales tax, though, is a little bit more volatile and has been pretty good in the last couple of years. Kitsap is extremely unique too with sales tax. We have a large commercial center that is in an unincorporated area, and so as part of what we were recognizing with expenditures outpacing revenues, sales tax is one of those ones that we're really watching because Sure, we could increase sales tax budget by 8% and hope that it comes in, but what if it goes down, especially right now in uncertain times? This chart's just to show that we try really hard to keep expenditures within available revenues. We do not try to add money to fund balance. We do have a healthy fund balance, and that's good. That's one thing that we learned from the last economic recession, was that if you let the fund balance get down too low, then you have problems even making payroll, because one big part of our revenue structure is property tax, right? April and October are when those payments, or when that money comes due. And so in March, the bank account takes quite a dip. So there's a lot of information on this slide, and I just want to spend most of the time here. This is just a summary of what the last 2 years, really the last year has been like. Commissioners' direction was to limit spending at 2025 levels. We needed to figure out a way to slow down our cost increases because we're recognizing that problem. I'm going to jump down here. When I said we're recognizing the problem in 2022, it's due to anomalous revenues that we didn't make cuts in 2022. This red bar shows interest earnings, a seriously insignificant revenue source for the general fund, historically less than 2%. All of a sudden now it's 10%. It's a massive change, but it's one time, right? The Federal Reserve increased interest rates. And so now we're seeing this wave in the bell curve, and you'll see that interest earnings will be dropping off. And so as part of our forecasting and being conservative, we're accounting for that. Also during this time, sales tax has been strong, but look, in the most recent years, it's leveled off a bit, and we're counting on that higher sales tax growth to keep up with, now that sales tax is a larger percentage share of our revenue structure than property tax. What we did, the basis of department cuts, we did a straight calculation off the board of 3% of the 2025 budget and shared equally across all departments. So each employee and official was given a number as early as April of this year, and they've been working it and planning for it, and everybody did a really good job submitting budgets that met that criteria. Over 2.8 million in staffing reductions, 25.15 positions, and then departments were also given the option to use new revenue sources if we could track the authenticity of it. If it was a management decision to increase the revenue, that sort of thing, they could get credit for that. So there's about 1.2 million in new revenue as related to that. Some offices allocated staff to other pots of money in the larger county budget. And our internal service funds, such as IT, fleet services, were able to hold their cost increases as well and absorb costs within their budgets. We're also tracking a number of things that have made this really challenging. There was a pension funding retirement cost change, real estate excise tax. There was a legislative change related to what we could fund for maintenance costs. And the state gave us a little bit more money for indigent defense, which is another big area of high cost increases within our budget. Most importantly, though, the board took action really in May, but the actual resolution was in July to do a hiring freeze. So the premise was to capitalize on short-term savings, but also to allow for flexibility. It's really important to note that all of these cuts are coming from vacant positions, but for one. There was only one layoff. It set everybody up to be successful for the cuts that we're planning for. We did a community survey. That's the first direct resident input gathering in over 2 decades. And we're using that information to inform decisions about what we do with this budget process and the next couple, because the problem's not done. We're trying to limit the use of that interest earning revenue and not depend on it because of the volatility. And we don't want to be too aggressive with our sales tax forecast because it could absolutely go down in the short term. We also did a deep dive on some of our largest cost escalations. Most notably, we did a whole presentation on the sheriff's office budget. So just wanted to flash to that really quickly. If you're interested, there's a lot of information, charts and graphs. It's available on our website. The link is in this presentation, but it's also there too. One of our largest cost increases that we've been tracking in the last couple of years is jail medical contract services. It's up from $1.8 million in 2017 to $6.6 million in 2026. And we're self-insured for medical benefits. The county has saved millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars being self-insured since 2013. So it's a good idea to be self-insured because we have a large enough employee base to do it with covered dependents. But we are tracking serious inflation there that tracks with everything that you're seeing in your everyday life and the cost of medical services. One thing I wanted to call attention to was the forecast at the top. The problem's not done. Where we're at with the decisions that the board has made thus far, and there's still more conversations to be had. We're really close to keeping revenues and expenditures within being balanced for 2026. So operating revenues and operating expenditures. But as you see, we just have this cascading problem in the out years, largely because we're being conservative with our sales tax projection and then the property tax 1% cap. But you can see the work that was done with the salary and benefits being 70% of our costs. You can see that the green bar is the growth percentage reflects all of those cuts that are coming out of the general fund. So again, we did a presentation on the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office costs have grown from 39.5% in 2017 to 44% of the budget in 2026. This chart here on the left shows property tax and sales tax as the two stackable bars, and then head count and the cost of head count in the line. So about 70% of our revenues and 70% of our expenditures, this is what we're noting is not keeping up with our ability to provide services. And then insurance, we're self-insured for workers' comp, casualty, and liability also, as well as I said, self-insurance. You can see our cost increases there in the short term too. So all that said, there's still a lot more to happen. There's more public engagement. There is more presentations to do, more budget meetings with the commissioners, and happy to open that up for any question. I just want to remind everybody that all this information is available on our county website.
Before we move on, can you show on the county website, can you show where to click for this presentation?
So on the main county website under How Do I, find info on, and county budget. Two ways, we call it the Budget 101 presentation. It's embedded in the text down here, high level overview of the budgeting process this year. And then if you want to know department specific information, each of these are PowerPoints relative to all the departments' submitted budgets and how they met their budget cuts and what positions are being eliminated and what revenue they added. Encourage you to look at those. There's a presentation here that talks about how to review these documents. We're regularly updating these notes. We've got organizational charts and vacant positions, the report on the sheriff's office budget, and then we just did a report on the county's revenue options for tax increases too.
And that report on the sheriff's budget is what you clicked to when you were doing your PowerPoint. You clicked to that and flashed up some things.
Yep, that's correct. So we did all kinds of things, overtime analysis, headcount analysis, just to support the concept that really our largest cost driver, our largest single department, has grown more than other departments during that period of time, and has become even larger slice of the pie of the sales tax and property tax.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have questions?
I just have one.
Okay, Commissioner Root.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nice job. I mean, this is a lot of information for the public to see right now and really kind of try to absorb it. I mean, it's taken us a challenge to absorb it ourselves, and we're in this almost every day. Can you explain a little bit about the interest earnings, so that we understand that kind of I don't want to say income or revenue, just the smart investment that we've done over the past couple of years that we've pretty much been gliding on this time. Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll use specific numbers. So, but before 2022, average annual interest earnings in the general fund were less than $2 million a year. So our budget at that time, $100 million, so less than 2%. At the second half of 2022, that's when the Federal Reserve started changing interest rates, and so we started earning more money on our cash. And so the second half, we're recognizing, oh, wow, this revenue source is outpacing our budget and our forecast, and maybe we don't need to make cuts right now, because if we just made cuts, that would be silly because the revenue was going to come in anyway. So in 2024, it peaked at about $13 million. So 13 million compared to 2 million ever historical that we've ever depended upon. And so what we've done is we haven't added more staff during 2022. We haven't added positions or headcount or extra budget than we absolutely just the status quo cost of doing business. We've just basically eked up that budget on that one-time ongoing or short-term interest earning revenue because we just knew it was going to come in. So we're also, as part of our 6-year long-term strategy, watching it step down too. So we're using the Treasurer's Office as a guide to, okay, how much is sustainable in 2026? How much is sustainable in 2027? And so what do we need to plan for, and how's that going to change our total income picture?
Okay, so when we saw it kind of peaking out, we decided that's when we started looking at this pretty seriously, because we can't depend on that, right? Because of interest rates fluctuate up and down. So when we look at that, that's where what I'm trying to do is illustrate this so it's understandable that this was really looked at critically throughout the past couple of years to ensure that we were balancing budget. And then now what we're finding is that inflation, because of inflation now, and we don't have those interest earnings and inflation is going up along with the costs. Am I on the right track there?
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, here's the chart there. So you'll notice that in 2026, we've dropped the budget here, whereas 25, it was, it's 26 is comparable to 2025, but actual forecast in 25 is more like here. So we're already seeing forecasted dollars in 2025 less than 2024. So the peak was in 24. So that's why we're taking action now because, for example, as I said, property tax is only going to be about $635,000 more next year. Okay. The expected amount that we could lose from interest earnings next year is double that.
Okay. And costs we have no control over that.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Walters?
Yeah, I was wondering, Chris, in this, where is the chart that shows the out years where the lines cross? Is that?
I don't have a visual on this chart, but I do have it on our main website. One second.
And since it's tiny, you'll have to explain what where the lines are.
Hold on. So what you have, the red bar being revenue, so you'll notice that even in the short term, revenue is going down a little bit, and so that's us accounting for that step down of interest earnings, because the step down over a 5-year period is less than is greater than the growth of property tax or sales tax in that short term. So as part of our 6-year forecast, we're using a 3% measure for sales tax estimated inflation. So as interest earnings step down, you almost have this flattening of our revenue because you have one big thing going up and one big thing going down. But we have union contracts, we have estimated wage inflation for our cost of our headcount, and so that number's more known. So we have some uncertainty on the revenue side and a more known number on the expenditure side. Because again, 70% of our cost are people. We don't make stuff, we just provide services. Our supply budget is less than $2.5 million. It's a people cost.
And then also, because I feel there's probably quite a few people here to support the sheriff's office, you kind of flipped through those charts. Could you go back to the sheriff's office to just kind of show that a little bit slower, to slow that down?
Yeah.
So more people, so everyone can see it.
So the sheriff's office cost of it has increased. So you can see in 2015, their budget used to be $35 million. In 2025, the budget is $58 million. In 2026, the budget is $59.9 million. So we hear this a lot, the structural problem with property tax revenue and that 1% cap. So in the 11-year time period, property tax revenues have increased 24%. The total general fund expense, that's the parks, the sheriff, the courts, the assessor, the auditor, has only increased 54%. But the sheriff's office, that carve out of that 54%, has increased 71%. So that means other offices have increased a lesser amount and taken less of the share of the total general fund budget.
Were there other slides you thought, or is that the one you were thinking?
That's the one I was thinking about. I don't know if you wanted to show more, that would be.
Happy to. I just wasn't sure an available time that you had. So
Let's see what you got.
I think an important thing to note on this headcount history slide is what we're trying to show is that really, apart from two things that we brought in-house, so facilities, we brought in custodial and did away with professional services, so there's a headcount increase there. And public defense, we have to increase headcount because the state has mandated caseload limits, so we've increased headcount there, but we've also decreased professional services. The courthouse is a limited footprint, and it's cheaper to do in-house public defense than it is to do contract services. We just have had space limitations to add attorneys over time, and so we've shuffled people around. Through COVID, we moved some people into telework. That's created opportunities to save the county money by bringing in an in-house public defender. So what I'm saying is, but for facilities and public defense, marginally the headcount in the general fund really hasn't grown, but for the sheriff's office. So we did cost of labor analysis. Same thing, the 70% of our spend is the headcount, and the cost of law enforcement wages as compared to the cost of a parks worker or an accountant or an M&O specialist has grown less over time. We've got headcount charts, both the patrol side and traffic side, as well as the corrections side. And then again, this is our single largest cost increase in the last 11 years, is the jail medical. Interesting component that it was about 12% of the jail's budget in 2015, and in 2026 it'll be 26% of the budget. This is not the jail's fault. This is a statewide problem. The cost, it's twofold. It's the cost of providing health care, but it's also insurance. So they're having a hard time with insurance costs, and so they're passing it off. So the county contracts for this service. So we have contracted nurses and doctors and to provide health care to the incarcerated individuals. And so this is a statewide issue, and there's not a lot of vendors in the market that even want to provide this service. Many are running away from Washington due to large claim settlements. The sheriff's office met their fiscal impact target of $1.7 million by eliminating $850,000 in vacant positions and $750,000 in new revenue recognized, and moving some positions to a grant.
Great, thank you, because this
Yeah,
is
of course.
information that we asked you to compile for us as we have been taking a deeper dive, but I wanted everyone else to know that this is also available on the website, so you can take a look at this information as well.
Yes, Chris, the amount of information you have been providing us over the last few weeks as we've tried to sort through what we're going to do has been exemplary. Thank you. And
Thanks.
now everybody can see it. All right, does that conclude the presentation?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay. All right, very good. Thank you so much. And you're going to stick around for a little while. Okay, that's good. All right, the next item on our agenda, Dana.
Item 2A, resolution appointing Jennifer Skalbeck to the Parks Advisory Board to complete a vacant term ending December 31st, 2027.
Is there a motion?
Oh, I move to approve the appointment of Jennifer Skalbeck to the Parks Advisory Board.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
And I'd like to say a couple of things. With this motion, we will be appointing Jennifer to the Parks Advisory Board representing the District 1. Purpose of the Parks Advisory Board is to provide timely advice to the Parks Director and the Commissioners regarding acquisition, development, and administration of park properties. They may be asked to address specific issues related to property acquisition, park improvements, and recreation programs. Jennifer moved to Kingston in 2021, which is short. But she regularly attends Kingston Parks, Trails, and Open Spaces trail maintenance parties and is a board member for the North Kitsap Trails Association. She was also just hired to start a new role as the executive director of the Greater Kingston Community Chamber of Commerce. In her free time, she does all sorts of outdoor activities like running, hiking, road and gravel biking, mountain biking, kayaking, camping, and listening to live music in our parks in the summers. So I think she's going to be a great addition to the Parks Advisory Board from the north part of the county. Is Jennifer here? Okay. I told her she didn't have to come, so.
Well, we saw her this weekend at the opening of the Eglon
Yes, we did.
Park, yeah.
Yeah. So is there any other comment?
No, she's going to be a great addition. I had
Okay,
a
a lot
really great
of
conversation with her.
energy and good
Yeah,
ideas.
she's going to be great.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Jennifer Skalbeck is appointed to the Parks Advisory Board.
Item 2B, resolution appointing Jessica Nance to the Kitsap County Council for Human Rights for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2028.
Do I have a motion?
Sure. I move to appoint Jessica Nance to the Kitsap County Council for Human Rights for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2028.
I second the motion.
Okay. The Council for Human Rights advises the Kitsap County Board of Commissioners on issues related to discrimination, promotes the equitable treatment of all people, and reduces prejudice through prevention, education, resource referral, and advocacy. Jessica brings both legal training and a deep commitment to human rights to the council. She has an undergraduate degree from the University of Washington, where she majored in law, societies, and justice and minored in human rights. She has a law degree from the University of Oregon and has been a practicing attorney for over a decade. She has handled a bunch of different court cases related to human and civil rights matters, including serving as a public defender, handling a civil hate crime, representing a client in a clemency petition, and drafting policies to protect immigrants, students, and families. She will bring great excitement and passion to her role on this board, and I'm excited that she put her name forward. Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Jessica Nance is appointed as an at-large member of the Kitsap County Council for Human Rights for a 3-year term. Is Jennifer here? Jessica. Is Jessica here? Is Jessica online? No. Okay. Thank you for volunteering, Jessica. And we'll move on to the next appointment.
Item 2C, resolution appointing Justin Sykes and Charles Crading, representing collectors of lodging tax, and Stacy Saunders and Baki Koppelman, representing potential recipients of lodging tax to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2025.
Do we have a motion?
Yeah. Yep, I can take this. So I move to appoint Justin Sykes, Charles Craning, Stacy Saunders, and Baki Kopelman to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
I second.
Okay, is there discussion?
Yes, I'd like to discuss a little bit. So a little bit about the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and I'm chairing that this year. So the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee advises and makes recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners on how to best distribute and expend lodging tax revenue per RCW 67.28.1817. Members of the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee are appointed annually. And just a little bit about how our lodging tax is spent. I'm going to, if you had an opportunity to go to staykitsap26.com, that we put together our lodging tourism website for the World Cup next summer. I'm really proud of the work that the Kitsap soccer or the task force put together, and that was funded directly out of these lodging tax funds. So you can kind of take a look at that. I'm really proud of the work that committee did. That was designed through Love Kitsap. So I just want to give you an example. But a little bit about our new appointees to this year. Justin Sykes is the general manager of the Best Western Plus Silverdale Beach Hotel. He's deeply passionate about the sustainable development and promotion of our local tourism industry, and his extensive background in hospitality management and community engagement equips him with a comprehensive understanding of the challenges and opportunities within the tourism sector. And I'm excited to bring Justin back. He was part of the committee last year. And then we have three new committee members. Chuck Craning grew up in Yakima and moved to Kitsap directly after college at WSU in 1990 to start work at CBEC Conference Center. He has been there 35 years in several positions, eventually becoming executive director in 2008. Chuck lives in CBEC and is a very active in Silverdale Rotary and the Youth Exchange Program, serving as district county officer or country officer for many years. He's an avid fan of the Mariners, which I think did they win? All right, yay, go Mariners. Mariners, Seahawks, and Cougars. And if you're out in CBEC, you know Chuck. Stacy Saunders is a member of the Central Stage Theater, also known as C-Stock, that produces multi-generational musicals and dinner theater in the county. It also offers a theater camp for young people. Stacy previously served on the Central Kitsap Community Council, and that's how I got to know her first. Baki Kopelman is the executive director of Vista Gardens, a nonprofit botanical garden in Bremerton, Washington. He has led and advised organizations as a board chair and in executive leadership roles, including creative director and marketing director across cultural institutions, nonprofits, and small businesses. A consultant with the Small Business Development Center network, he brings a proven record in regional economic development, tourism, marketing, and community partnerships. And if you haven't had a chance to visit Vista Gardens yet, I highly recommend it. It's a very beautiful time of year at the gardens to go visit. So those are our four advisory committee members this year. I look forward to working with them as we distribute funds that we know we're preparing for the World Cup to come to our region, and so it's a really important year for us as we distribute those funds to make the most of those tax dollars, your tax dollars, and lodging tax dollars, those people that visit us.
Their tax.
It's not your tax dollars, it's the people that visit it. It's even better. It's not yours, it's the people visiting us.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We have just appointed Justin Sykes, Charles Craning, Stacy Saunders, and Baki Kopelman to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for 2025. Thank you. That concludes all of our appointments. Oh, or is anybody here?
I don't think they're online, but they might be online.
They are not online.
No.
I just checked again, just in case.
Okay, great, thank you. I look forward to working with them.
All right. Dana, what's next?
Item number 3A, resolution proclaiming the month of October 2025 as Socktober in Kitsap County. Socktober recognizes that small acts of kindness, such as the gift of clean socks, can foster trust, human connection, and pathways to recovery, resilience, and healing.
Thank you, Dana. And here to speak to the resolution is Laura Hyde.
Oh,
And on the mic. Hello. I'm Laura Hyde, and I coordinate the Substance Abuse Prevention and Youth Services Division of Kitsap County Human Services Department. And together I have Jessica Gidry today, and Jessica is working with Kitsap Strong. And so we have 3 resolutions that our division is supporting, the first of which is Socktober. And so I'd like to read just a couple excerpts from it. Whereas access to necessities such as clean, warm socks is a critical yet often overlooked need among individuals and families experiencing hardship, homelessness, or housing instability. Socktober recognizes that small acts of kindness, such as the gift of clean socks, can foster trust, human connection, and pathways to recovery, resilience, and healing. Community-based outreach efforts like Socktober are essential to reducing stigma, promoting early intervention, and connecting people with life-saving care and support. And so today I have an example to show you. We have 4,000 bags that are going
Bless
out.
you.
Bless you. And these bags all involve community partners that have put them together. And the list is huge. We have 18 organizations here in Kitsap County that are working together to provide not only socks, but educational materials, as well as information about local resources. So we have information on our substance abuse prevention and youth services program here at Kitsap, and then also Coffee Oasis Drop-In Center. And we have some treats and brand new socks, and each one is fun. These are focused on Christmas, silly little ones for Christmas. So that is a
Laura,
nice.
hold them up high so we can see them.
Oh, okay. So here we go. Let me try to get the picture.
There you go. Okay, thanks.
Kind of fun. And then just a little sweet treat in there with some candy too, because if you're in recovery, quite often having some sweet and sour things also help support recovery. So that's Socktober. And we have a second one. Do I go ahead?
Oh, well,
Okay,
they
first
need
let's
to-
The
do,
vote?
let's first,
You want me to
adopt-
read the last line?
No, we have it.
Okay.
So we'll first adopt the resolution. I move to adopt the resolution proclaiming the month of October 2025 as Socktober in Kitsap County.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
No, this is
No,
great.
thanks
Laura.
for the
Thank you.
demonstration, Laura. Thanks for your work.
Thank you.
All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The resolution is passed.
Item number 3B, resolution proclaiming October 2025 as Resiliency Awareness Month in Kitsap County. Resiliency is the antidote built through supportive relationships and adaptive skills such as emotional regulation, stress management, decision-making, and healthy relationships, which can transform potentially toxic stress into tolerable stress and foster lifelong well-being.
All right, good evening. I'm sorry I don't have any socks, but here we go. So whereas compelling scientific evidence demonstrates a strong correlation between negative childhood experiences, known as adverse childhood experiences or toxic stress, and lifelong health and social challenges. Whereas ACEs may include physical, social, or verbal abuse, physical or emotional neglect, witnessing domestic violence, the loss of a parent through separation or divorce, or having a family member who experiences mental illness, substance use disorder, or incarceration. And whereas in Kitsap County, 62% of residents report at least one ACE, and over 37% report 3 or more ACEs. And research shows the greater the number of ACEs, the higher the risk for social, emotional, and other challenges. And this includes school suspension, dropout, unemployment, homelessness, incarceration, chronic disease, and substance use. Whereas resiliency is the antidote, and whereas resiliency must be nurtured throughout the lifespan, through consistent, meaningful engagement with caring adults, supportive environments that foster agency, pathways, goals, and community-wide collaborative efforts that empower individuals and families to thrive. And then now, therefore, the rest is up to you.
You introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Jessica Guidry. I'm with the Kitsap Public Health District. I'm their Assistant Public Health Infrastructure Division Director, longest title, and I'm with Kitsap Strong here today.
I'll move to approve the resolution proclaiming October 2025 as Resiliency Awareness Month in Kitsap County.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, just thank you to the Public Health District as well as Kitsap Strong for your work to build resiliency in our community.
Okay, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The resolution is passed. Last one.
Item 3C, resolution proclaiming October 23rd through 31st, 2025 as Red Ribbon Week in Kitsap County. The Red Ribbon Week campaign is the oldest and largest drug prevention program in the nation, reaching millions of young people during the week of October 23rd through 31st each year.
So we have some fun things that'll be happening during Red Ribbon Week. We also have some gifts for everybody present. Okay, so what you're going to be receiving is a little packet here, and it's got the Say No to Drugs pledge, as well as a Red Ribbon Week lapel pin.
Oh, thank you.
And so we are encouraging people to wear it proudly next week, Red Ribbon Week. And really, we're also have some materials and things that are going out to kids. So we have Olympic Education Service District and Kitsap Immigrant Assistance Center and Kitsap Black Student Union. And our staff here at Kitsap County, they're getting some information and bracelets and things like that out to the kids to encourage substance abuse prevention. And the campaign really is an ideal way for people and communities to unite and take a visible stand against illicit drug use. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to proclaim October 23rd to 31st, 2025 as Red Ribbon Week in Kitsap County.
And second.
Any discussion?
No, again, and thank you for passing this out, so that everyone will also wear these.
Yeah, I got to say, it's important. It's important that we really talk about this, especially with our fentanyl issue. As dangerous that it is, drugs are dangerous completely, but this is a new era of some pretty serious stuff. And we need to get our young people to understand this and see it so they can identify it and stay away from it. So thank you.
I think one of the most important things is to have the messaging coming from several agencies and venues and parents and community members and everybody working with kids to encourage them not to use. And so for every dollar that we invest in prevention, we save $18 in services later on. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support of youth substance abuse prevention and resiliency.
All right, Laura and Jessica, oh, do you want to?
No, good.
I was going to say, Laura and Jessica, thank you for your work in our community. Thanks for bringing these resolutions forward, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Oh, and we need to vote on the last resolution. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The resolution is passed.
And now we can clap for
Now
all
we
of
can
them.
clap. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, and our last resolution.
Item 3D, resolution proclaiming October 15th, 2025 as Chamber of Commerce Day in Kitsap County.
And here to speak to the resolution is someone from the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, John.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioners. I'm John Morrissey. I'm the immediate past chairman of the board for the Greater Kitsap Chamber, the largest chamber of commerce in our county. As you know, a little over 3 years ago, we merged the Bremerton and Silverdale chambers to create the Greater Kitsap Chamber, where we're a convener of people to make it help facilitate conversations. We are a catalyst for positive change, and we are a champion for all of our small businesses right here in the communities that we live, work, and play. October 15th is National Chamber of Commerce Day. Well, we're looking for a little recognition right here on our little slice of the pie here in Kitsap to just bring awareness to the work that we do on behalf of the business and community. I don't think most people know that Chambers of Commerce started out just representing business, and now it means a whole lot more. So we think not only does the work that we do revolve around the businesses that we serve, but it really is the communities that we serve as well, because we don't have all these great places to live, work, and play without our lovely businesses. So with that being aside, we'd invite you all out. I know you heard during part of that budget presentation that there are things that are outside of the control of the county commissioners and staff, right? That's some of the work that the chamber does. We go advocate on behalf of our community, on behalf of our businesses. I know I've seen all three of these faces down in Olympia doing some of that same work right alongside us as well. But we do advocacy work, we do networking, we do education pieces. If you're not tuned in to what's going on in your local Chamber of Commerce, I invite you to, whether that's the one right here in South Kitsap, we have others up north, or it is the Greater Kitsap Chamber. You can sign up for our free newsletter, but engage with us. We're more than just supporting your local business. We're here to support all of our local communities.
Very good, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Sure. I'm happy to proclaim October 15th, 2025 as Chamber of Commerce Day in Kitsap County.
And I absolutely second the motion.
Okay. And the resolution that we have before us is very focused on the Greater Kitsap Chamber and Visitor Center. So that is the resolution we're going to pass. And hopefully next year we can have all the chambers tied together, because it would be fun to celebrate that with everybody. Thank you so much to share that with your board. Thank you for bringing this to us and for taking the time to speak tonight to it. Okay. All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, John.
Can I say something, Madam Chair?
Okay, we have a comment from Commissioner Root.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that is that, you know, our small businesses are key to our local economy and the economic development that they bring in, the employee training, the workforce development, all the hard work that all of our small business owners do. They risk it all to ensure that our community works, that we have the economy to roll, so we can make sure we can, you know, pay for those services that we need, but so small business owners that are putting it on the line every single day. So it is appreciated from us here on the dais. Every day you go to work and make things happen for our future. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Root. Dana.
Item number 4, administrators' comments.
I just wanted to note for anybody who's following along, again, the place you find all the budget documents is going to be county main website. And then how do I go to the link for county budget and then scroll to the bottom if you want to see all the PowerPoints. I want to just note there's a link in the middle of a paragraph that says high level overview. That's the dynamic dashboard that Chris Carlson was using. So if you get to that link that says high level overview, you can click into all the different numbers and look further into them yourself. So just wanted to say that and my appreciation to DAS for all their work. That was it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, County Administrator. Next.
This is the opportunity for the public to address the board on regular business agenda, including consent agenda.
Okay, so this is the opportunity for things that are on our agenda. At the end of the meeting, we have another opening for public comment for things that weren't covered in this meeting. So I have a bunch of people, about a dozen people, a little more, yeah, about a dozen people signed in to, who wish to speak, mostly on the budget. And I'm wondering, Dana, is there another sheet, or do I have all the sheets of people?
Yeah, I left one back there just in case there was more signups, so I
Okay.
can go see if anyone else signed up back there.
Okay, so we're gonna
One
get,
person?
we're gonna get started on the public comment on items that were on the agenda. The way that it works is I have a list. As I said, I'm gonna go in the order in which people signed up, just to keep it fair. And Dana has a timer, so the goal is to keep your remarks to a 2-minute presentation. And then at the end of 2 minutes, a nice little music goes off, and that's your clue, your sign to wrap up your comments. And then we are all available after the meeting, anytime in your community, by email or phone call as well. But this is the opportunity to speak publicly. So I'm going to start with Alan Van Cleve, and then after Alan is Chuck DeCosta, and then Pete Brady. So Alan, will you come to the microphone?
Hello, Commissioners. Good evening. I'm a little nervous because there's a bunch of cops watching me. Good evening, Commissioners. A couple weeks ago, I attended budget hearings in this very room. I listened to the Treasurer's report as well as the Sheriff's report. I was taken aback by the inadequacies of the Treasurer's report and its data sources, as well as the dire state of funding and support to our Sheriff's deputies, which I termed the collapse of the KCSD. The lack of county support for the rule of law is nothing new around here, as I had neighbors who were murdered, shoved in their own garbage cans, as well as another neighbor who was a Washington State Patrol officer who was clubbed over the head while investigating noise an intruder was making at his home. After hearing the testimonies of both officers on the street and in the jail, it is clear that our local government has failed us. It has failed to prioritize the public safety by not funding a strong, robust, and proactive sheriff's department, and by implementing policing policies that embolden criminals and their activities. This situation leads me to the Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club. Due to the county's failure to take responsibility for public safety and support law enforcement, the public should be allowed to train for self-defense with a firearm, as guaranteed by the Second Amendment. Opening the Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club would provide the public with an avenue to do so, for the public's sake. I also believe the KRRC has property rights guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution and is addressed under the 5th and 14th Amendments, regulatory taking. And that is defined, the government imposes regulations that severely restrict the owner's ability to use the property, which can be considered a taking, even if the title remains with the owner. With all this being said, public safety and rights are your number one priority, and that would include the funding of the KCSD. And if other programs need to be eliminated, so be it.
Thank you,
Respectfully.
Alan. Thank you. Okay, I appreciate that support. I'm gonna ask people to not hold your applause, because it's public hearing, will move faster, and please, that's the decorum in here. Chuck DeCosta, you are next, and then Pete Brady.
Evening, Commissioners. My name is Charles DeCosta. I've been a long-time resident of Kitsap County. Concerning the budget, you have been litigating against the Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club for over 15 years. I wonder how many millions of dollars that has cost this county. So that's something to consider. Another thing I'd like to bring in, specifically a budget, is we need to be cutting unnecessary programs and not just cutting across the board like 8% like was recommended in a previous thing. Because if you cut just 8% across the board, you really cut some of the good meat out instead of the program. So I suggest you look at programs that are now obsolete that need to be cut. And I was looking at your budget, and one thing I saw was the 2022, about $50 million for COVID-19. The present budget this year is $15 million for COVID-19. There's no mention of flu A, B, C, or D. That's all covered by your existing other processes. Why not just assimilate the $15 million for COVID-19 into your other existing process, since that's sort of waning in our present stuff? So try to consider eliminating unnecessary programs. And know that I mentioned, please open up the Kitsap County Rifle and Revolver Club. It's been closed far too long, and I need a place to shoot. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Next up is Pete Brady. And then after Pete is Nicole Salvin, Nikki Candelaria, and Casey Patton.
Good evening, Commissioners. Pete Brady, I'm from Bainbridge Island. I know that you're considering spending and taxing within the confines of the budget. I'd like to make my comment in terms of any kind of general spending and taxing. I'm going to be blunt here. I am sick and tired of the ordinary taxpayer having to pay for government mistakes and inefficiencies. So I would like to urge you, and I would do this the same for the state legislature, to conduct a complete and thorough audit of any program or public service that you're considering raising taxes on, and do the audit for inefficiencies and waste in those programs and public services. I am familiar with this based on my research over the last 8 years on the Washington State Ferries. I know that each of you are familiar with my research in that area. And I can stand up here right now and say as a matter of fact that the Washington State Ferries is being deliberately, and I emphasize deliberately, run at a loss. If somebody were to do a complete and thorough audit of them, they would discover this. I can't speak to a lot of county programs. I did a sort of a first look at Kitsap Ferries. I think there's sort of a crossover between what happens at Washington State Ferries and Kitsap Fast Ferries. That would be an area that I would look at. Maybe you can reduce some costs there. I don't see a lot of use being made there. So just to reiterate, I think a complete and thorough audit of any program or public service that you're looking at raising taxes on is warranted. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole?
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening. My name is Nicole Salvin. I'm here to urge you not to approve the proposed 1.7 million reduction to the Kitsap Showers budget. This comes at a time when crime and drug activity in our county is rising, not falling. According to recent state and county reports, violent crime is up across much of Kitsap County. Aggravated assaults have increased. First-degree cases rising from 17 to 23, second-degree assaults from 39 to 52 in 1 year. Drive-by shootings rose from 2 to 9 incidents. Weapon law violations have reached a 10-year high, jumping more than 40% in 1 year. I literally watched a teenager shoot his gun off down a residential street as I was rocking my son at 2 years old at the time, so this is 3 years ago. Rocking him to sleep, and I watched some degenerate shoot his gun down a residential road, pointing at a golf course. Drug enforcement cases have also surged. Between 2023 and 2024, drug violence has nearly doubled with drug violations has nearly doubled with fentanyl the center of the crisis. Kitsap recorded 73 overdose deaths in 2022 and roughly 80 in 2023, and even as other counties saw declines. Our sheriff and deputies are the frontline responses to saving lives, enforcing laws, and connecting people with the help they need. So again, just under 90 days ago, I had to explain to my now five-year-old son why some lady fentanyl folded and collapsed right in front of him on a sidewalk. Try to explain to your 5-year-old what just happened in front of his eyes. Meanwhile, property crime is rising, especially in Bremerton and unincorporated areas. These are not abstract numbers. These reflect real people, family, communities, small businesses. Reducing the sheriff's office by 1.7 million means fewer deputies, slower patrol, fentanyl crisis is climbing. Public safety isn't where we can afford to cut corners. When law enforcement and prevention is underfunded, crime does not pause, it grows. The data shows our community needs more support and public safety, not less. This is the time to strengthen the sheriff's office, not weaken it. I respectfully thank you.
Thank you very much. Nikki?
Hello, Commissioners. First, I have to say, I am an employee of the Office of the Insurance Commissioner, and I would be happy to help facilitate a conversation between the county, the sheriff, and the Insurance Commissioner of Washington State. I do have a business card here if you're interested in taking me up on that opportunity. I'm not just speaking as a concerned citizen, but as someone who believes deeply in the principles of public safety, fiscal responsibility, and most importantly, accountability to the people. Right now, we're facing a proposal that would cut the sheriff's budget at a time when crime is up, when response times are stretched thin, and when our deputies are already doing more with less. Let's be clear, cutting the sheriff's budget is not just fiscally irresponsible, it's dangerous. Our law enforcement officers are the first line of defense in protecting our communities. They put their lives on the line every single day. They answer calls in the middle of the night. They respond to violent crimes, domestic disputes, and emergencies of every kind. And instead of backing them, some would rather balance the budget on their backs. This is unacceptable. This is not about politics. This is about priorities. Because our streets are safer, our communities are stronger, and when our leaders are held accountable, our democracy works better. Our commissioners were elected to serve. We're not asking for favors, we're asking for common sense. Support our deputies, protect our neighborhoods. And we're here to remind you, as commissioners, you work for us, not the other way around. I also want to note that I'm not sure how this county is losing property tax money, since just in my area, over 1,500 new homes are being built, and they're starting at $600,000 apiece. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nikki. And thank you for offering the services of the insurance commissioner. We have been in touch with them on the medical insurance coverage, and we may be able to use your help. Thank you. All right, Casey Patton. And then after Casey is Robert Parker, Suzanne, and Trevor. And it's Suzanne with a hyphenated last name that I can read the Potts as the name. Casey?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Casey Patton. I've been a resident of Kitsap County for 36 years. I've seen a constant increase in crime throughout all aspects of the county, and I agree with all the other comments about reducing the sheriff's budget is unsat. I honestly think that if we were sincere about safety, and I'm talking to commissioners and also a lot of the other people in the administrative business of the county, we need to hold criminals accountable. No cashless bail. If they do the crime, they do the time. We need to go ahead and fall back to the basics of what we did and how we were raised when we were younger. We need that kind of adult supervision, and every now and then, I was raised with the Board of Education, and I was also raised to respect my elders and my people that I hold in esteem. Secondly, Kitsap Rifle and Revolver. We purchased the property in 2009. We were a leasee with the DC Department of Natural Resources. If I remember correctly, and I've been in enough commissioners' meetings to know that every now and then when you buy a piece of property, you buy it as is, as built. If you buy a used home, you don't go ahead and hold everything to the latest, newest county regulation. There's a certain degree of grandfathering that is involved with the purchase of that house. Only if you're going to do a massive remodelization of the house do you have to possibly upgrade the power panel from fuses to circuit breakers. We need to go ahead and hold the same thing to Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club. We purchased the property in 2009 as is, and now there's a bunch of regulations that are saying that we need to go ahead and do this, or we need to do that, or we need to do this. I think a win-win for the county would be to modify 1025 to go ahead and say any new gun range has to comply with these requirements. But if you're already in an existing range, we need to modify that. Again, just like one of our other speakers said, we need to go ahead, and sometimes the law enforcement might be minutes away when seconds count. And if we have individuals that are trained in proper hand use and proper gun control, we might be able to go ahead and arrest the individual in question until the law enforcement arrives. At least we'll be able to protect ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Parker?
Good evening, County Commissioners. It's been a long time since I've been down to see the commissioners. Actually, the entire commission has changed over.
Well, and you grew a beard.
Yes, I did. Got a little grayer. Thank you for the meeting you had with me also. I appreciate it. I want to correct your budget guy. He said we make nothing. No, we make great roads. So we do it so well that you can actually tell when you drive out of the county into the city. We do something excellent. Let's keep doing that. And I think you guys have gotten a couple of emails with me when they show up when the snow is deep or when the road is garbage. They're Johnny on the spot. Your road crew is excellent. So it's not all negative tonight. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the things just from my observation. I spent 5.5 years on your 1/10 mental health and substance abuse advisory. From my perspective, I'm not on the board now, things are starting to slip. That's over $8 million. Where are your last 2 quarterly reports? They're not on the website. I can't read them. And I'm one that reads all of them. They aren't up there. I have questions on Bremerton's Municipal Court. They put in quarterly reports for the last couple of years when I know they didn't even have staff, because I'm reading the CJC where Ms. Flood has been up on charges, and I've read the depositions of everybody quit. How can they give you a performance evaluation without the staff there? But you paid them $100,000. It's time we started looking. You gave $100,000 for people that weren't even in that place. And I've talked to some of the people that went through the court, and I can tell you the services aren't happening. Because I do care about it, and it's something, this county helped my son. And I said, I'm in for a pound going forward, because I couldn't do it myself. And I'm still here. And you need to look at that kind of stuff. And the 2 sheriffs that are over on Leiter, most nights, window to window, for hour and a half, that's not cool either. If you tell me that I have to call in when my house is broken into, if the thief isn't still there, I have to call the business line, but I can't go down to the street and catch those 2 officers that are window to window, I don't know what they're doing over there. Don't care. I just know they're not on a call for the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Suzanne?
Good evening. I'm a newbie. I've only been here 5 years. I moved here from California with no money. It was very expensive, and I retired as a civil servant, so I came here because it was affordable. It's now becoming unaffordable. I was able to buy a home, but I'm worried about being able, as a retiree now, being able to pay my property tax. But my biggest thing is I live outside of Tracyton, So I'm in the unincorporated part of Bremerton. I live in an area that we have a lot of homelessness that tends to want to occupy some open spaces that are by a cemetery. And right now, thank God we have good sheriffs, because within 48 hours, we are seeing those people be removed, which is a good thing. My worry is with this budget cut, we won't have that 48-hour removal, and before you know it, we will have a whole homeless encampment outside of the Tracyton Cemetery, which has a very large parking area. So, and not only that, with the Tracyton dock area, there has been lately, in the last year, which I used to go hang out there and watch the sunset. I'm afraid to even go there now because you don't know who you're going to run into. We have had elderly women that have been attacked in that vicinity, which is very disheartening. So if you cut the budget of the sheriff, guess what? Us people that are out in the unincorporated area will have nobody to come out and help us. That's all I have to say. Oh, and my last name is Zrodlo Potts. It's phonetic. It's Polish.
Thank you. Next up is Trevor. This is a handwriting issue. Trevor, I'm going to say Colella. No?
Nope.
Sorry. I got the Trevor.
No, that's my handwriting. I apologize for that. Usually it's just the D that throws everyone off. It's college. But, so, April 29th, 2023, I was in a bad motorcycle accident, and it was thanks to the quick response to the Sheriff's Department and Firehouse 17 that they were able to, and I just wanted to call Deputy Blackwell at the time, but him and the other Sheriff's Department and that firehouse, because they got to me so quickly, it could have been worse. I had a compound fracture, and all the people standing around with no training didn't realize I needed a tourniquet. I didn't even realize I needed a tourniquet until the sheriff came over and just kneeled on my arm and was like, oh, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, you need a tourniquet. I'm like, oh. Anyways, so I just wanted to shout out for the Sheriff's Department for doing such a great job. Every time I've had to deal with them, it's been a great experience. And with the budget cuts, I hope that what does get cut is fat and not muscle. I appreciate what your presentation earlier. It was very informative. Like, I didn't know how it was broken down with property tax. I appreciate that. But something that I hold dear personally, for 3 years, I just ended it this spring. I did crossing guard at my kids' school at Burley Glenwood. And fortunately, a lot of these schools are on very busy roads out in these rural areas. And so a lot of people speed through them. I've brought it up to the principal, county, brought up to a lot of people, and nothing's really been done about it. I just ask that you guys consider your options, what you could do with that, because I had a Tacoma PD just sit there, and people just behaved. So sheriffs on break could just park there, and it could do it. And then just whether the speed cameras in Paulsbo, I don't know if they are paying for themselves, but either way, it's a win-win because you either get revenue or make it a safer spot to cross. I have a lot of videos on Kitsap's worst drivers. You can feel free to reach out and call me from that phone number. Appreciate your time and good luck.
Trevor, I'll send these guys your telephone number. I can see it right here. Thank you. Andrew Olson.
Thank you, Clever Trevor. First off, a comment about the holding the applause, and that is, you can ask. We could also ask you to release the hostage that is the Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club. Ignoring things goes both ways. That said, I'll begin what I wrote up. That is, I'd like to begin by breaking the fourth wall a bit and ask you to please not feel obliged to thank me for my time. I know what it is quite well to speak courteously to one you despise. But I've come to speak on the Second Amendment rights. Rights, mind you, and not privileges. Well, we in Washington State, and most terribly in liberal counties, as we're in, have had our gun rights progressively encroached upon to the point we no longer have them at all. Ammo isn't cheap in areas with limited commerce because of the nature of business and economy. By state law, you can only have baby-sized 10-round magazines. For those who want to quibble about technicalities, yes, you can actually have real magazines if they were bought long ago. You just can't buy any now, and so ownership of such grown-up magazines will deplete over time. Our tyrannical county law, or code, bans guns from even being fired in an expanding number of circumstances and places. Now I ask you, what is made of a gun that cannot be fired? A paperweight is what? We are marginally allowed to own paperweights with triggers. I don't think that's what our founding fathers had in mind. Here in Kitsap County, we can't even get a gun without requisite training according to the new Washington State House Bill 1163, which requires live fire training, which is available only right now in Paulsbo without the KRRC. This won't be sufficient to meet demand and doesn't provide suitable access to all of Kitsap County because of distance. And it can only accommodate so much load, which will increase as the effects of that Washington State law increasingly take hold. And that should trouble everyone. That's all.
I want to ask Commissioners Root and Walters, we have the KRRC, the Revolver Club, Rifle and Revolver Club, kind of melded into the budget, and it wasn't technically on our agenda, but with your indulgence, or if it's okay with you, we'll just finish the, so we have a couple more.
Looking at Dana, can we do that? Because we have time at the end for public general comments. This is about things that are on the agenda.
It is actually up to the chair and the board if you would like to do so.
Okay, so we can,
So like, Andrew doesn't have to come back, that.
we can say, okay, yeah.
Okay. I have two more people who have budget issues, and then Marcus, do you want to speak now? Yours says government procedure.
It was to deal with the budget.
Okay, very good.
So, yes.
Okay,
Correct.
so the next person up is Jessica Rice. And then after Jessica is Holly Cruz and Marcus Carter. And that's all I have for in the room. Go ahead, Jessica.
Hi. I don't have anything prepared. I wanted to just see how the meeting went before I kind of made my comments. I did look through all the slides that are online. And one thing that I see that's lacking is really, like they were presenting that 70% of it is positions, people. You look at these slides and it's very general, right? There's no, from a public perspective, it would be really nice to see what these positions are and what they're getting paid, and how long they've been around. Like, for instance, I'm looking at the health department, and they're really only giving, their budget proposal is only from the last 2 or 3 years. I know with COVID-19, there was probably some increase in positions or increase in funds there. So just being able to kind of dive a little bit deeper into those details might be beneficial and informative to the public on, what exactly these. I hear the question all the time, where is the money going? We know that taxes are a huge part of the funding for this general fund. Okay, well, I liked that Peter said an audit. That's what I put. I think it's important. Like, what are we spending the money on? Like, truly, on a detailed type of level. The other thing I wanted to say is the law enforcement. I understand that with that report, there's increase every year. There's an increase every year because of the fact that we need them so bad, and criminals are getting more and more prevalent in this county, and we cannot afford to cut it. Those officers, I'm telling you, we see it in Pierce right now. They're leaving because they're not getting the money that they need. They're leaving, and that's what's going to happen if we don't support our sheriff's department. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I wanted to ask, I got a text from our budget staff that said that the detail, organizational charts, pay scales, head counts, all of that detail is on the budget line. It's online in those budget, on that budget page that Chris showed us earlier. And so you can't do it on your phone, it's just too much. But when you have time, you can really drill down. It has all sorts of information that you would never imagine would be available. But they spent a lot of time trying to increase the transparency this year for those, for people who are interested. So thank you for your comments. The next person up is Holly. And then Marcus is the last person I have in the room signed up. So if you are in the room and you thought you signed up, I'll look for a show of hands, but we'll need you to sign up. Go ahead, Holly.
Hi, thank you. I'm Holly Cruz. I noticed that jail medical contract services have increased by approximately 200% since 2018, which have added millions more in costs. I understand the importance of mental health, but definitely not at the expense of our law enforcement officers' mental health. Cutting corrections staffing, patrol, and public safety operations to support rehabilitation and reentry programs is quite a vicious approach to the rest of the law-abiding citizens of the community who deserve to be served and protected during their time of need. In my perspective, it appears that perhaps the panel is in support of shifting rehabilitation to basic containment, which can affect the long-term outcome and increase recidivism. Is the panel also in support of reducing community outreach and school resource officers as well? Medical expenses for inmates should not dominate the jail budget, as it only puts the budget for our corrections officers at risk for mental overload, which can lead to exhaustion and unsafe working environments and conditions. Perhaps the administrative end needs to be audited as well to ensure that inefficiencies or contract overbilling do not go unchecked to prevent a cycle of waste. With the increase in such medical contracts, has it been proven that the health of inmates is improving? Have liabilities such as lawsuits and deaths decreased? And is there measurable progress toward rehabilitation and reduced recidivism? The current priorities of the budget is not aligned for the greater good of all, but rather seems to be profiting off the poor choices of those who are incarcerated. I urgently and respectfully ask you to back the blue and put the community as a whole first. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tough job you've got. There's a lot going on, a lot of moving pieces. You inherited something that unfortunately hasn't gotten a whole lot better. And one of the issues that I wanted to bring up budget-wise for the Sheriff's Department in particular, and part of the reason that the 300-meter line that is talked about with the Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club, the reason that project was even taken on was at the request of the Sheriff's Department at the time. And former Sheriffs Pat Jones, Steve Boyard bring his family out to the gun club and use it. One of the things that we've offered, we've had a Sheriff's Department senior trainer, Ken Roberts, and I would encourage you to read his testimony from the trial. Ken Roberts would come out regularly in the Sheriff's Department to use Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club. Now, I know that Kitsap County does not have their own shooting range. We have offered, and to a large degree at different times, the Sheriff's Department had taken up in helping us with personal protection classes. They have sent out deputies that have needed some remedial training and try to get themselves back on track, etc. Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club has offered and continues to offer to the Kitsap County Sheriff's Department a place to train. We know that the Bremerton Police Department range is very an anemic, small little facility that's actually in the Bremerton watershed of all places. Where Kitsap Rifle and Revolver Club is in a facility and has a record that has just been outstanding. And again, if you read the testimony of Ken Roberts in our operations,
hopefully would have some effect on how the Sheriff's Department and how you would actually look at how we operate out there. So once again, we would offer Kitsap County Sheriff's Department a seat on the board and a place to train. They would be able to call ahead and have whatever training scenario set up ahead of time so that, again, officers and trainers could get the training done and get back out on the street and not spend all their time in the admin side of it. So I hope that you find that helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that is everybody that was in the room.
Mr. Patton.
Mr. Patton already spoke. Right? KC Patton already spoke.
I already spoke, yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Is there anybody online with their hand raised that wishes to speak to items that are on the agenda, specifically the budget?
Yes.
Okay, and we will have time at the end of the meeting for items that are not on the agenda.
Chris Fay, I'll allow you to speak.
Go ahead, Chris.
I am here to support the Sheriff's Department. I don't think they need to take a pay cut. I hope you can hear me. I have been going over your budget online, and I did agree with many of the speakers already. I think we do need a massive audit. Jessica Rice asked a question about where's all the money that the property taxes from all the new apartments and housing going? I'm in Silverdale. We have a ton of new apartments and new housing developments. Where is all that money going? I would kind of like to see an accounting of that. Kitsap County Commissioners, your mission statement states that you are going to protect the county. Well, I don't feel that you're doing your job very well if you're going to reduce the sheriff's budget. I think there's a lot of other places you could reduce the budget. For example, you just stated you hired somebody named Jessica Nance for a position. What is that? Is that a volunteer position or is that a paid position? And if so, what is Jessica Nance going to get paid? I think there's a lot of things on your budget that could go away with that have been in existence for many years. I really want to make sure that we have a good investigative person over for the Sheriff's Department, because I don't want to see what you just saw in the state of Iowa at the school district that hired an illegal immigrant to run the school district. I would like to make sure that we have a good investigator over there in the Sheriff's Department. You hired it on your, according to your website, you hired 5 new public works people. Great. Maybe you could really look at cutting back on people. I'll end because I know my time is up. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I did want to clarify the names of the people that we read earlier were volunteers. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your comments, Chris. Is there anybody else online?
Well, wait a second. And no one is raising their hand. So moving on to our agenda.
I do want to say thank you. I want to give people a chance to leave if you would like to leave. We're going to go on with the business part of the agenda. But I did want to say thank you to everybody for your comments and for coming here tonight. And I also wanted to thank Chris Carlson because for people who have questions and really want to get into it, this is the first year that we've had this level of granular detail on county operations and expenses and revenues. What are the fees and the grants and things that are coming in available to the public on the website? So feel free to dig in. You can conduct your own forensic audit of whatever department you wish to see, because we've been doing that all for the last month or so. But thank you all for coming. And thank you to the Sheriff's Department for being here. All right, and I think we'll move on to the consent agenda now.
Yes, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The consent agenda is adopted.
Item 7A, resolution approving the funding recommendations of the Kitsap County Mental Health Chemical Dependency and Therapeutic Court Community Advisory Committee submitted for fiscal year 2026.
And it looks like here to present is Sonia Miles. Yeah, Dana, does it matter if that microphone is on?
You know, oh, thank you. Yeah, it might.
Thanks, Marcus.
Good evening, Commissioners and public. My name is Sonia Miles. I'm the Deputy Director of the Human Services Department here in Kitsap County. This evening, I'm here requesting affirmation of the funding recommendations of the 0.1% Mental Health, Chemical Dependency, and Therapeutic Court Fund that the Community Advisory Committee deliberated over this year. The Chair and Vice Chair of the Community Advisory Committee came before you on September 8th during a work study to present these recommendations and answer your questions. RCW 82.14.460 provided legislative authority to counties to impose the 0.1% sales and use tax for mental health, chemical dependency, and therapeutic court operations. Kitsap County passed and began collecting this tax in 2013. Each year, a request for proposal is released to the community to provide these services in our community. This year, the Community Advisory Committee read, scored, and deliberated 2 days, 36 applications for funding. The board made a public announcement to the community on August 6th of those recommendations. The RFP provided a 2-week window after that public announcement for appeals. None were made. We are requesting affirmation of these recommendations, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any, are there any questions for Sonia? There are no questions. All right, we have we had a motion? We have not had a motion. Would somebody like to make a motion? I'll move that the Kitsap County Board of Commissioners adopt the resolution approving recommendations from the Kitsap County Mental Health, Chemical Dependency, and Therapeutic Court Community Advisory Committee submitted for fiscal year 2026.
I will second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
No, we had a robust discussion, and I think we also have a presentation coming up from last year's awardees, too, so we can do a little bit deeper dive into this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, their therapeutic
Yeah.
court is absolutely essential. So it's, it is proving the success rate and everybody that's involved with it. So I think it's absolutely.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The resolution is adopted.
Item 7B, resolution delegating the county administrator the authority to execute all contracts for the MHCD-THC program in accordance with Kitsap County Code, Chapter 3.56.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Doug Washburn. Thank you for having us here today. I think what we've been missing so far tonight is something that's really bureaucratic after 7 o'clock at night. So that's what I'm here for. I am here to ask you to approve a resolution to allow contract subscription for the mental health therapeutic court and behavioral health fund that you just passed for. Kitsap County Code 3.56.110, the Board of Commissioners may, by resolution, delegate contract subscription authority when such delegation is supported by findings and limited in scope. The findings for this is that all mental health, chemical dependency, and therapeutic court contract awards are already subject to board approval through the RFP process, which you've just approved. Delegating contract execution to county administrator will improve efficiency, timeliness, and program delivery without reducing board oversight. Number 3, the county administrator is the appropriate officer to execute such contracts on behalf of the county. And number 4, this delegation is limited in scope to mental health, chemical dependency, and therapeutic court contracts funded under RCW 82.14.460 as approved by this board. Furthermore, all contracts executed pursuant to this delegation remain subject to the Kitsap County contract review procedure and must be reviewed and approved as to form by the prosecuting attorney's office. So we've also done this before. You'll remember at Commissioner's recommendation for the community development block grant contracts and home contracts because they go through a similar RFP process. The reason for that is because by the time we finish this tonight, you will have already seen these contracts, what they recommended and the funding level that they're at 3 separate times already before you even see the individual contracts. That's what I'm here to recommend tonight. Thank you. It was more fun than it sounded like, wasn't it?
What did he say?
More to sound like.
All right, do we have a motion? Or are there any questions for Doug, I guess I should say?
No, thank you, Doug. Doug was my 8 o'clock appointment this morning, so I know you've been here all day waiting to give this, so thank you. I'm happy to make the motion. I move to approve delegating the county administrator the authority to execute all contracts for the mental health, chemical dependency, and therapeutic court program in accordance with Kitsap County Code, Chapter 3.56.
I second the motion.
Is there any further discussion? Thank you for streamlining local government, Doug.
Thank you so much. That does save you, that's 33 separate contracts that will no longer have to go through that whole process. So thank you.
Great. All right, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. The resolution delegating the county administrator the authority is approved.
Item 8D, revenue contract with Washington State Recreation and Conservation Office for the Harper Estuary Barrier Correction Project in Commissioner District 2.
Good evening, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Curvy Meslu Yobek, and I'm here to speak on the Harper Estuary Barrier Correction Revenue Contract, KC 48925. So just for reference, Harper Estuary is a pocket estuary located in South Kitsap. Project goals for the Harper Estuary Barrier Correction is to restore the tidal processes and reclaim that important habitat, nearshore habitat. We also want to reduce road fill, which was built in association with Olympia Drive across the estuary. We also want to improve flood resiliency associated with king tides and excessive rain events. We also want to replace an undersized culvert with a 120-foot bridge and maintain neighborhood connection and shoreline access for that community. The estimated bridge construction cost is just under $9.3 million. That's based on the bridge construction, construction management, and construction services. We've secured funding for this project. Majority of it is coming from the federal government through the Protect program, 1 million from Kitsap REAP 2 program, and about 1.5 million from the Brian Abbott Fish Berry Removal Board, which is what this contract is about, for a total funding secured of $9.296 million. So for the contract 48925 Harper Estuary County Road Project 2626 Recreation Conservation Office Agreement, Kitsap County is receiving $1.456 million from the state, and we're using federal money to match those funds from the state. So the total contract agreement amount is $1.716 million. With this money, the project will be made whole, and we can finally construct the bridge. That's all I have. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Okay, thanks for the presentation. Is there a motion?
Well, being in District 2, I'll make a motion to approve the Washington State Recreational Conservation Office for the Harper Estuary Bridge Correction Project in District 2. And it's going to be $1,716,000 with the RCO agreement, majority of that coming from the Brian Abbott Fish Berry Removal Board grant.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
I have to say that, I know, Kirby, you've been working on this for a long time. How long has this project been going?
Probably more than 20 years.
20 years, right? And it's, we've had Navy jumping in here, Navy jumping out. It's been kind of going on for a while, so, but yeah, it's been a long time coming. It looks like we're going to finally just tie this up and get it done. But I appreciate all your work and DCD's work. Public Works is going to now step up, yes?
Yes.
So it's going to be, the community in a whole has been working very hard on it too, so, okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments? No, and this is this is a board meeting. We'll be at public comment in a couple of minutes.
We should wait by then, because you guys are gonna vote on this, pass it. We need more cops, and we need desperate.
That maybe, please be seated. Yep. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. The grant agreement with the state for the Estuary Barrier Correction Project is approved. Thank you, Kirby. Okay, Dana.
We have no public hearings, so this is the opportunity for the public to address the board on general interests.
Okay, do we have anybody that has signed up?
One person, Mr. Patton, said he does have something on general interests.
Okay, Mr. Patton, please come to the podium.
And I do not see anyone raising their hand, so I'll give them a moment to do so. And then-
Online?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the first time I had the opportunity to attend the commissioners' meeting in about 6 years, because whenever COVID went, I was a regular participant every Monday on the second and fourth Monday from 2017 to 2019, or when you went to Zoom meetings. I appreciate the new commissioners, and I appreciate the jobs you're doing, and I know you have a tough job ahead of you. I'm going to offer an analogy. Right now, in Kitsap County, you have 4 school superintendents, north, central, south, and I guess Bremerton. I don't know if you have assistant superintendents or not. I was in a town in Lancaster, California, and we had a space of approximately 3 times the size of Kitsap County, and we had approximately 40 schools, and we had 1 superintendent. We had the principals and the assistant principals, and we were able to go ahead and manage the schools in that way. I know education is not part of what we were talking about as far as your budgetary constraints earlier. But what I would also like to suggest to you is do a conscious review of what your budget is and find out if, just like the superintendents, if you have four, one could do it, and you could have the principals of the various schools talking to the superintendents. We also need to look at that as far as the regular county business is concerned, because I hate like anything to see the sheriff's department cut in any way, shape, form, or fashion. We need them, and they need all the help they can get. In fact, they need more officers to go ahead and help protect us, because just like whenever you add the second Tacoma Narrows Bridge, that funneled so much more traffic into Kitsap County that we became a bedroom community for Seattle. And that's where a lot of that stuff is now coming in here, and they've got the junior wannabes from Seattle coming over here to try to do their things over here. And we need to eliminate it. We need to enforce the sheriffs. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Looks like we have a line starting, but I need to be able to read off people's names, so I'm going to wait for Dana to hand me the sheet. Is there anybody online that raised their hand, Dana?
It looks like Chris Fay is raising her hand again, so maybe for general comment.
Okay.
But that's it.
Well, I'm going to call up Robert Parker because I know his name and he's right there. So we'll get started. Robert?
Good evening again, County Commissioners. And I want to speak to you a little bit more about the budget, because, I kind of dive into all that kind of crazy stuff, and I do a lot of stuff around the community. There was something that came to my attention, and tonight you guys actually were talking about raising the public defense, and they were getting more money and all this kind of good stuff. And I have some concern about that whole public defense thing, because we have an elected leader here that got public defense here locally that has $2 million worth of liquid assets. It's right on their F1. And, as we were chasing these things down, they said, well, we haven't had the time to really review those forms. How much are you bleeding out in public defense for people that shouldn't get them? They should all be vetted. What I had heard and have not confirmed yet was they said, well, we're low of staff. And I know some of that money comes down from the state. And when I look at OFM, there's a 30% kick up at the state level. And I'm wondering if Kitsap isn't getting theirs, why aren't they getting theirs? And if they are, why is the prosecutor's office burning so much cash? But I can say that I can give you the documents to prove that one case I just spoke about. I'm not going to disparage the person on Mike, but I can give you the actual documents and show you the F1 and show you the public defense. And that was an elected official in this county. And if it doesn't matter with that one, is the prosecutor giving special favors, or is this happening throughout? The excuse was we don't have enough staff to check the forms anymore. Well, tells me that an employee is much cheaper than hiring attorneys all over town for our people that aren't supposed to, or that are supposed to get public defense. Thank you, Commissioners. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next is James Collins. Okay, and then after James will be Marcus and Alan.
Yes, Commissioners, I have a problem with what's been going on tonight. I don't appreciate you guys just rolling stuff through these votes and stuff without anybody being able to say anything about it. You just allotted a bunch of money to the stupid stormwater thing when we need more police officers in this county. Isn't that a little more important than stormwater? It is to me. I bet you it is to 99% of the people in this county. I had somebody, lately I've had somebody, I live out in the, kind of in the country, it's not really, it's just up by Fred Meyer. And lately I've had somebody coming through my house, not through my house, but through my yard at night, digging around looking, see what they can steal out of my trucks or whatever, out of my vehicles and out of my yard. I don't appreciate that. I know you guys would get really upset if I'd shoot somebody, because the police don't have time to get there, because there's not enough police. So we need to make sure we have more police officers. And also, we need to make sure we open up the Kitsap Rifle and Gun Club. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcus?
Thank you again, Commissioners. Something that's just kind of been on my heart and I wanted to bring out tonight. I really want our county to be successful. I want each of you to be very successful, personally and professionally. And sometimes it helps as a shooting instructor, if I have a problem with a student or an athlete, it's never an advanced problem. It's always something back at the fundamentals, something back at the basics. And I find that as a community, we're missing the fundamentals again. And one of them, you know, I get a lot of comments from folks that they feel that our DCD has just turned into a big HOA. That, you know, nobody can do anything on their property unless they have permission from the government to do it. Our Washington State Constitution, the preamble says, "We the people of the state of Washington, grateful to the supreme ruler of the universe for our liberties, do ordain this Constitution." And in that, then Article 1, Section 1, unlike the federal Constitution where our Bill of Rights was kind of an afterthought, came a couple of years later, in the federal Constitution, Article 1, Section 1, the whole Article 1 is all about individual rights and freedoms. And Article 1, Section 1 says that all political powers inherent in the people and governments derive their just power from the consent of the governed and is established to, and these last 5 words are most critical, it's established, our government here is established to protect and maintain individual rights. But unfortunately, it seems like, again, what you've inherited, and I don't know really what the answer is to try to change and turn some of that around, but it's like the collective. We're trying to take care. I even had a judge tell me one time, well, it's individual in a collective sense. That's so far away from what was intended. And I think you will find people would be a lot happier and our county would grow if we would tend to relax the regulations we tend to throw at them and let them exercise their rights to develop their properties and to live their life as they choose. As long as they're not harming somebody else's life, liberty, or property, that's what we should be about. Again, thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Alan? And I think, Alan, you are wrapping it up.
Thank you, Commissioners. Me again, Al Van Cleve, 20-year resident of Olalla. I'd like to clarify or segue on to what Marcus just stated. We're here to help you. Everything you're facing currently isn't a bad decision. It's a series of bad decisions, just like life. You end up in a disaster in your own personal life, it is never, ever, if ever, one decision. It's a series of decisions that led you to that place. Government has been doing the same thing. Everything you've inherited is a series of bad decisions. I've been here for 20 years, and I've seen this trend. I mentioned my neighbors. I don't like the direction. And I know I come across scary and intimidating, and I don't mean to be, but I'm passionate. I was an entrepreneur for almost 40 years. Look up the stats, the statistics for small businesses. 9 out of 10 fail in the first 5 years. You know what the stats are on the second 5 years? 9 out of 10 of those are gone, and there are no stats beyond that. We don't, in private industry, you run out of money, you're done. But the government has an endless resource. The resource is dying on the vine. And the financial stats, I could see things that aren't called out in these stats. The graphs are great. This is why I'm appalled by the treasurer. You're going by federal statistics, things that get revised every 90 days, every time, for my entire life. I'm 63 years old and getting to be a cantankerous old man. Don't keep lying to me. Let's get down to the truth, work on these issues. And they're tough issues. I would love to sit down with all 3 of you and collectively brainstorm. The treasurer, I thought he was out of his mind. Chris, I love. because I can tell he's a data-driven man. I have data that contradicts what the treasurer said. So, thank you.
Alan, thank you. Send us your data. And I do want to clarify, nobody's lying to anybody, but I appreciate that you were articulating a point of view. Is that everybody that signed up?
We do have someone online, but
Okay.
yes, everyone that has
And then
signed
I
up.
saw a hand over here, but why don't you come over to Dana so you can sign up?
So Chris Fay, you can go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I understand that we must be the lowest staff for Kitsap County for deputies, and I'm sure that has got to affect the morale and making people move to different counties, deputies in particular, and probably jail employees. Their morale has got to be down. I would like to suggest that all three of you spend 8 hours in the jail and see what kind of work that goes on there. You might be surprised. Looking through your budget, you apparently on your budget sheet you charge over $300,000 for interpreter costs when you can go online and get an earbud that will translate 144 different languages for you, even though English is our language of America. Your budget also states $678,000 yearly on dues, subscriptions, and memberships. For what, I have no idea, but I think some of that could be audited, eliminated, maybe consolidated. One of your budget items is $214,000 on other. Well, that doesn't tell me what that is. Other. I'd like to know how much money is going to the illegals, but you probably can't tell me that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The last person that we have signed up is Sean Odell. You are wrapping it up for us.
Well, thank you, Commissioner, for acknowledging me. I was going to speak during the budget time, but I decided to wait until the end. I didn't want to get involved with anything else but what I have to convey to you. I want to preface this as I do have some facts and figures that I put together, and this is pertaining to things that I've addressed on the commissioners throughout this year. So I'd like to start off by saying good evening, commissioners, county staff, and fellow residents of Kitsap County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Sean Odell. I'm from Olalla, and as a concerned citizen deeply invested in our community's future, I urge you to prioritize public safety. With our county's population steadily growing, now is the time not to just maintain our law enforcement capabilities, but to get ahead of emerging crime challenges before they escalate. Over the past decade, from 2015 to 2024, Kitsap's population has increased by 4.54%, from 269,205 residents to 281,420 residents. That's 12,215 new neighbors, families, workers, and retirees calling this beautiful peninsula home. Looking ahead, projections show another 5% rise by 2035, reaching nearly 300,000 people. This growth isn't abstract. It's more homes in Bainbridge, Paulsbo, Bremerton, Paulsbo, and surrounding areas, more traffic on Highway 3, and inevitably more demands on our public services. As our community expands, so do the pressures on the Kitsap County Sheriff's Office, from routine patrols to responding to crimes against vulnerable populations, which have spiked in recent reports. Yet here's the stark reality. We're understaffed and falling behind. Nationally, counties average 2.8 sworn officers per 1,000 residents, and Washington State clocks in at 3.13, ranking us dead last among all states. In Kitsap, with around 281,000 residents, that benchmark suggests we need 785 to 900 officers to stay competitive. That's absurd right now, I can tell you that. But today we're at just 0.77 per 1,000, about 217 full-time equivalents total, with 122 in law enforcement and 95 in corrections. A 7% vacancy rate in patrol and 3% in corrections means we're running on fumes, forcing $2.2 million in overtime last year alone. 16% of patrol wages and 14% of corrections. This isn't sustainable. It's a recipe for burnout, high turnover over the past 4 years, and slower response times that leave our families at risk. Maintaining the status quo means reacting to crime after it happens, chasing shadows in the dark. But getting in front of it, that's proactive. Filling those vacancies with 10 to 15 new positions, investing in recruitment incentives and wellness programs, and adding specialized roles like a second traffic enforcer or detective rotations at an estimate 1.5 to 2 million annually, barely a blip on our 58 million baseline budget. This would slash over time by 20 to 30%, saving $500,000 while boosting morale and efficiency. It's not just numbers, it's about preventing burglaries and robberies before they occur, fostering trust in expanding neighborhoods, and ensuring economic stability and property taxes grow at just 1% yearly. Commissioners, you've already shown leadership with the 2025 budget $5.65 million increase, funding body cams and jail upgrades. Now let's build on that momentum. A modest 1 to 2 percent above CPI for 2026 isn't extravagance, it's foresight. It's the difference between a county that thrives and one that merely survives. Our residents deserve a Kitsap where safety isn't a luxury, but a promise. I implore you, invest our deputies today so they can protect our future tomorrow. Thank you for your service and attention. I'm happy to discuss further outside of this chamber, and thank you for allowing me to go over time. Have a great evening.
Thank you. And yes, you get the applause. Yeah, the applause is good. It's the end of our public hearing. And the last item on the agenda is Board of Commissioners comments. So does anybody have anything they want to share? Okay, Commissioner Walters.
I always have something. I just want to invite everyone this weekend to the Paulsbo Olympic College campus. They're having a remodel. The commissioners with our American Rescue Plan funds back in 2023 awarded some funds to Olympic College to help expand, help convert their Paulsbo campus into a healthcare campus to help meet the real need that we have in our community of increasing our healthcare workforce. So I don't know if any of you have been to a doctor in the last couple of years. It's really hard to get an appointment. Part of it is because they have issues with staffing. And so with our investment of American Rescue Plan, those are one-time funds with Olympic College as well as Virginia Mason Franciscan Health and the Olympic College Foundation, we were able to convert the existing campus into a healthcare campus, and they've expanded by adding 5 new programs. So they have students that are in the programs right now in sonography, so we'll have those extra, and they'll have x-ray techs, surgical techs, and so a lot of the real needed jobs that our hospital needed that will now be really great paying jobs. I think one of them they quoted, we were at a luncheon this afternoon, and I think one of the professions when they graduate, they can make over $90,000 a year. So that's a great income for students, and they're graduating that first class in 2027. So really needed jobs in our community, and so really excited about that. So the open house is this Saturday, and it's from noon to 2, and you can check out the new programs. They have beautiful equipment that's been, they had the Ryan family made a large contribution to the college so that they were able to buy brand new equipment. So state of the art, we're putting out wonderful, good paying jobs in Kitsap County for people who will stay here and work here. So really excited. So I just wanted to share that because it's part of our investment from early on with our American Rescue Plan money.
Thank you, Commissioner Walters. Anything to add? Okay, I will say, because there are a couple people here that I think might be interested, next Monday at 2 p.m. in these chambers, we are having a couple of hours of presentations from grant recipients who have been engaging in activities with county grant monies in the behavioral health field. So last year's grant recipients. The contract that we approved today, or the list of projects we approved today going into 2026, we're going to be hearing from the people that received the 2025 funds. So you might be interested in that. But that's things like the therapeutic courts, Kitsap Mental Health, some of the different agencies around the county that are providing behavioral health supports to people. So you are welcome to come to that. And I think that's the only thing I wanted to announce. Okay, with that, the meeting is adjourned. Good morning. Welcome to the 10 a.m. meeting of the Kitsap County Board of Commissioners. It's our, what we call a regular meeting, a business meeting. It is 10:04. Getting started a little bit late. But let's go. First, Dana will read directions for people online.
Yes. For members of the public wishing to comment remotely at the Board of Commissioners' regular Monday business meeting during designated public comment times, business and consent agenda, public hearings, and general issues, the following options are available. For internet users, please click on the raise hand feature to signal that you would like to comment. The sound will be unmuted and the internet participant should announce her or his name. The participant will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. Closed captions have been enabled. Members of the public can view the link to instructions in the chat. Please know that we will not be able to assist you should you experience technical difficulties. For call-in users, please dial *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. The last 4 digits of the call-in number will be announced, and call-in participants should announce their first and last name before speaking.
Okay, thank you. Before we begin the meeting, we always start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So for those who are here, please join us if you can stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dana, what's the first item on our agenda?
Item 3A, resolution proclaiming September 29th through October 5th, 2025 as Week Without Driving in Kitsap County.
James, welcome to our meeting.
Thank you. Like you said, I'm James Bunn. I'm policy analyst at the Board of County Commissioners. I'm going to present the proclamation declaring September 29th through October 5th, 2025 as a Week Without Driving in Kitsap County. Whereas access to mobility is a fundamental part of health and community connection, allowing residents of Kitsap County to reach education and employment opportunities, medical services, shopping, recreation, and visit friends and family, and is one of Washington State's 6 transportation system policy goals, including investing public dollars to improve the movement of people throughout Kitsap County. And whereas Disability Rights Washington created the Week Without Driving Challenge so that people, including elected leaders and policymakers, can begin to understand the barriers non-drivers experience in accessing our communities. And whereas the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics estimates the cost of owning a car is approximately 81 cents a mile, with average household spending on transportation reaching $13,174 a year of driving in 2023. Many people cannot afford the cost of a car, and nearly a third of the people residing in the U.S. do not have a driver's license, either because of their age or a condition that does not allow them to drive. And whereas transportation represents the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States, and in order to meet our state's greenhouse gas emission reduction goals, we must reduce emission in our transportation sector. And whereas vehicles also create tire dust that can enter watersheds, have necessitated freeway expansions that have been detrimental to neighborhoods historically home to communities of color, and require impervious surfaces for parking, with an estimated 3.4 parking spaces for every car in the United States, all of which have contributed to transportation being an important environmental factor. Whereas going a week without driving is a great way to understand how we can improve our current transportation system to better meet the needs of Kitsap County residents, and enhance the transportation options such as transit, ferries, biking and walking pathways as key strategies in our decarbonization efforts. Now therefore be it resolved, the Kitsap County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim September 29th through October 5th, 2025 as a week without driving and encourages all people to join in observing this by finding their modes of transportation to get where they need to go. And this would be adopted this 22nd day of September 2025.
James, thank you for taking the lead on that. Is there a motion first?
I can make it. I'll move. I move to proclaim September 29th, October 5th, 2025 as the week without driving in Kitsap County.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? And I'm wondering if there's anybody online that was interested in speaking to this. This came from our ACAC, Accessible Communities Advisory Committee.
None.
Okay.
I can speak a little bit to it. With Kitsap Transit, we sit on the Kitsap Transit Board, and to kick off the week without driving, we are taking transit to our meeting at Olympic College, where we will be discussing creating an Olympic College student bus pass. So that's how we're starting to kick off that week. So, yeah. But I mean, but even just trying to figure out how to get to Olympic College on the bus for me has been a challenge in itself, because it really takes so much time, and just that awareness too of planning your route. I think it's really enlightening. So I do encourage everyone to, if you aren't able to drive for a week without, have a week without driving, consider that week while you are driving what it would be like if you weren't able to use your car, or to map it out to figure out how you would go the alternative way. So,
yeah. Commissioner Root?
Commissioner Walter, I agree with you that I was thinking about the same thing, and I think about employees that are trying to get to their jobs and how much more time it takes for them to plan that out and ride the buses, and how important it is, though, for that time it's an investment. And then thinking about the students putting all the time in what they're doing early in the morning, late at night. So absolutely.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate what Commissioner Walters said. If you can't do a week, try a day. And just in looking at my own calendar, I can't do it because of all the different meetings we have, but I am going to set aside one day that's just coming to Port Orchard, where I'm going to get up at 4:30 in the morning to take a ferry, to take another ferry, to take another ferry, and then walk up the hill. And it's just going to be a really long day, but I want to give it the effort that it's due. We'll see. I also need to be here, so we'll see how see how it all works out. Okay.